Welcome back to your D131 to exercise 17, our Burger Barn postcard workflow, and this is part 2. And we were working in Photopea. In class, we did it in Photoshop, and we're trying to do the same steps in Photopea. And I closed my PSD file from Photopea after I downloaded it to a folder on my desktop, I believe. And I'm just going to open it. So I'll just go to Open, and there it is. Burger Barn PSD, I called it. And this is a composite image. And we have a background image, which is there by default. We have a barn background image that's here that we kind of moved around. We resized a little bit and moved around and even used Liquify to extend the sky. We just did some image level adjustments to lighten it up a little bit so it's not as contrasty as the burger, because we want the burger to really stand out. And then we put in a burger. We used our quick selection tool. You could have used any other tools to silhouette the burger. And we used a raster mask. In Photoshop, it's called a layer mask. They call it a raster mask. And basically what it does is it uses white pixels that reveal the burger and black pixels hide. So we go back and forth painting black and white on there to hide things and reveal things. And it makes it flexible, and it's better than erasing, because then we don't do anything that's permanent. So I'm using Alt or Option and clicking on this mask just to see the mask. That doesn't really help you to see it, but I'm just showing you what it is. And then make sure if you do anything to the image, you have to be on the image here. And just for example, if I wanted to put a glow around the image, I could go to Layer Style, and I would do this in Photoshop as well. And I'll go to Outer Glow. I'll see what this looks like, and it's a kind of a complicated looking dialogue here, but I'll go to Outer Glow, and I'll change my color to white. So where this kind of ivory color is, I'll go to white right now and just click over there and hit OK. Just seeing a little bit of a glow. To make it bigger, I'm going to go down here to Size, and you can see it coming out a little bit. You see that coming out? Now that's the blur. It makes it a blur. If you make it spread, it'll be like kind of a harder edge. But sometimes you can extend it a little bit by using the spread a little bit. So just something like that. That looks okay. And the opacity, if you want it more of a solid opacity, it's going to be a stronger glow. If you want less of a glow, you can move this down. And that's pretty much the way it works in Photoshop as well. Here's kind of a little example of what's going on here. And you could even save it as a new one, but that's fine for now. And you could have put a black shadow behind it as well. I mean, if you didn't like the outer glow, I'll just turn it off, and I'll go to drop shadow. If you wanted a drop shadow, you could have put a drop shadow on here. And let's see which direction it's going here. I'm going to turn off global angle, and I'll move my direction here just to see where the shadow's going. Usually shadows are going to be down to the left, so they would be kind of like that. And then you can extend the distance of the shadow, the spread and size. Again, the size is like the blur, so if you want to blur your shadow, you could do that. So a shadow might look good too. There's a shadow. So that's the drop shadow. I'll turn it off. Here's the outer glow, whichever one you like better. I'm going to leave the outer glow on for now. And that's the only effect I'm going to use on here. So that's layer style. By the way, just like in Photoshop, when you hit OK, it says effects here. In Photoshop, it has an effects thing too that you could double click on and go in and edit them, or turn it off if you don't want it. I'll just X out of here. I think they have a little drop down. This is what it looks like in Photoshop with this. We're just dropping it down. But you could turn it off if you don't want to see it. You can put on either one. You can actually try drop shadow and turn that off, or try outer glow, whichever one you want. So they're editable effects, so they're nice to use in here. And it's the same way in Photoshop. So I'll close up this little arrow here, and that's on that particular layer with transparency, meaning we used a mask so we can kind of see behind it. And I'll move this burger over a little right now. Maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger, and I should probably hold Shift when I do that. And I'm going to put my logo down here. Now, I'm not going to do this in Photopea. What I'm actually going to do, I'll turn off my controls right now. I'll go up to my arrow, and I must have scaled it because it's not letting me turn it off. If you ever scale it and you need to OK it, just hit Enter. And I'm going to turn off my transform controls. And this is what I want for my background in Gravit. I'm going to use this, so I can save this, save what I have so far. I think it'll just let me save it. And what I'll do is I'll create a JPEG from it. Now, I don't want this layered image. I want a JPEG to go into Gravit. So I'm going to close this up. I don't need this. This is just the sample. I don't know if I need this, so I'm going to close this up too. I'll leave. And I'll keep this open. Now what I'm going to do is generate a JPEG. And the nice thing is you can generate a JPEG at any time. You could change the burger, you could change the background, you can change things. Someone could say, oh, I don't want to glow, I want a drop shadow. You can go back to this and put in a drop shadow and make a new JPEG. But right now I'm going to make a JPEG. So I'm going to go File, Export as JPEG. And I think this just will export right to your downloads. So if you go in here, just check it out. There's nothing you should really have to do here. I'll put it at like, you can put it 100% if you don't want to lose any quality. And I'll hit save. Now normally in print we would save as a TIFF file, TIFF, but it doesn't let you do that. I don't know if it lets you do it in here. They do have TIFF in here, but Gravit doesn't let you import a TIFF file, so we're just going to use JPEG for now. That's not typically the file you'd use for print, but for workflow we'll just kind of go with that for now. And I'll hit save. At least we know it's a flattened image. Now JPEG is flattened, so JPEG will not have these layers here anymore. So don't think, oh, I have my JPEG, I don't need this. If you ever need to go back to this and move the burger or do anything, you want to keep your Photoshop file. So if you're happy with this for now, we could probably just close it up and that's it. And what I'll do now is I'll go back to my Warren and I have to log back in and go to coursework and I'll go down to Unit 11. And this time I'm going to click on this thing. Now this is just using my logos for an example. That's the only thing I'm doing here. You don't have to do this. You don't have to save anything here. What it'll do is it'll go in your account and you could save this to your account, but I'm not going to bother doing that. I just want to use a logo from here. What you can do is you can go File, New, and this is what you should do. You should go File, New Design, and go up here and make sure you change this to inches and make sure your width is 6. And make sure your height is 4.25 and then hit create. And here it is. It's called Untitled right now. We have an empty postcard and you can even add a page. So we have a page 1 and page 2, which eventually we're going to do, but I'll go back to page 1 and you can name it. So it's called Untitled right now. So I'm going to go here and go File, Save to Cloud As, and I'm going to save it in my 131 folder. And I already have one called Burger Barn Workflow, so I'll just call it 17 BB. I'll call it BB Workflow, and I'll put HOMA R. And I'm going to put -V because I'm doing a video. That's so I'll know this is the one from the video. And I'll hit save. You don't have to put V. You could just put your name and save it to your cloud. Now, what we want to do for our workflow is we want to get our postcard in here. Now, you could do it two ways. One is you can just go to this place image and then go find your image that you downloaded. Not your PSD, but go to your downloads and find this Burger Barn JPEG and place it in there. And there it is. Now I'm going to delete it. Another thing you can do, well, I closed my thing in Photopea. We could have copied a merged version in Photopea. If I open up my last PSD that I had open in Photopea, this thing, if I wanted to copy and paste it to Gravit, I could. I can actually go to Select All and then go to Edit, Copy Merged, meaning it's going to copy everything you see. It's going to copy a kind of a flattened version. So I could have done Copy Merged and then gone here and done Command V or Control V and paste it in my image. Pretty much works the same way, except the one way is using an actual file. So whatever works for you. So you can go here and place your image and use the JPEG that you downloaded. That's more of the workflow that you would typically use. And now we have our image here. I could probably lock it because I don't have to do anything with it. So that's my image. And now I'm going to superpose my logo. So I'm going to go grab one of my logos here and I'll grab this one. On the other one I use this thing, but I'll grab this one here and I'll just copy it. They're all grouped. So you could use this for practice, but eventually you're going to use your logo. So I'll copy this. I'll use Command C or Control C. And I'll go here to the workflow one and I'll paste it. And it's over here. I'm going to put it over here and make it a little bit smaller. Now, on my other one, I put white text. Now, you could do that, or you could put a glow around it. You could do anything you want. There's all kinds of things you can do here with this. I'll try a glow. I'll see if I could do a glow and see what that looks like. Whereas on this one, the previous one, I actually made the text white. So we'll see how this works. Now, remember, if you wanted to put outlines on here, you'd have to do it to each part one at a time if you wanted to put an outline on. Now, you could, but let's see what a glow looks like first. They have, let's see what they have down here more. I don't know if they have a typical glow in here on there. They have drop shadow. You could try drop shadow. Actually, that's what I'm going to do. We'll try drop shadow. And instead of using black, I'm going to use white to make a glow. And that seems to work okay. And I'll leave it at 0 and just kind of increase the blur and see what this looks like. That's not too bad. It's making it easier to see. That's not too bad. If I did want an outline on it, at least in Gravit, I could click on here once and click again and just get the text. And then go down here and put a border. I'll click and add a border and make sure my border's white. And do something like that. Actually, I think that looks better. And I'll click once, click again, go down, add a border, make sure it's white. And I could probably do it to this thing. I'll add a border, make it white. There. I don't know if that looks good with the border or not. Let me zoom in. Let me do it again. Make sure the border's on the back of it. Let me go here and hit my options for border. And, oh, it's not in the back. There, I'll put it in the back. It was on the inside. Now I'll put that on the outside. And that looks better now. Now let me see if this one is on the outside. There's border. Let me go to my options. Yeah, that one's on the outside, but this one went on the inside. So now that looks okay. So I do have a glow there still. And one thing I could do when I click on the whole thing again, if I made the drop shadow black, actually now that goes behind the white lines, that actually looks better. It even pops more. So that looks pretty cool, I think. It looks okay. I could even make it a little bigger because it's really popping from the background, so I could put it over the burger a little bit. Now, if I wanted to move the burger over, I can't. I'd have to go back to Photopea and generate a new Jpeg. So that's just part of workflow. But I'll leave this here for now. Notice I have it about 1/8 of an inch from the edges. And then I'll just throw a headline up here. And I'll just create a headline. I'll call it, what's my other one? Great Beef Tonight, or 100% Angus Beef, whatever you want to, 100% Angus Beef. You could probably come up with something more creative than that, but I'll just do that for now. And I'll put an exclamation point, so I'm really excited about it. And you could use the same font that I'm using in here, which was Passion 1. I'll see what that looks like first. And I'll put on auto scale font and make it nice and big. Not bigger than my postcard. And I'll even scrunch it a little bit so I can go even bigger. And that looks pretty good. Now, I might want to make it red. I might want to make it something else. Let's see what it looks like red. I'll use the same red from my burger barn. How does that look? That looks good. I might want to go maybe a little darker so it's not competing. Right now it's competing a little bit with that. So let me pull something out of the tomato maybe. Maybe I'll do something like that. And again, if I want to put a border on here, I could go down, add a border. It's black right now. And I could use a light color with a black outline, or I could stay with this dark color and put a white border. And that looks okay. And I could even put a drop shadow so it kind of gets a little depth from the sky. So I could go down here and add a drop shadow. These are just little effects. And I'll extend this so it goes down to the left a little bit. I'll make it go 2, 2. When it goes in a positive number, it always goes over and down because that's kind of the default for shadows. And I'll increase the opacity a little bit, so I want it to stand out real nice. So I might take it up to like 80 or something like that. And there's my background. That looks okay. You could change that to a different color. I mean, maybe you want this to be like a green or something, like really pop, something like that, so it pulls out from the lettuce. Whatever. I'll go back to this kind of burgundy background. And 100% Angus beef. And I did something like I put tonight. So, you know, you could put tonight if you want. I've had them written down on the board when I was doing it in class, so I'm not sure. I don't like to just look through script fonts and find something, but let me try something like lobster. I'll type in lobster because I know lobster, so that's kind of a nice looking font. I'll make it nice and big. And notice it didn't scale. That's because why? I didn't put on auto scale font. Now I can scale it, make it nice and big, and do something like that. I can use the same color if I want. I can use a different color. If I wanted to click on this and take a green color from the lettuce, I could go in there and pick kind of a green from the lettuce. And if I wanted the same effect that I have here, the shadow, the outline, all that kind of stuff, I could copy it from here. Now here's the problem. If I did it, it's also going to change the font, but let's just do this. Let's go edit copy. And I don't want to do it from here. I want to go over here and go edit copy. And then I'm going to go to here and I'll do edit, paste, and I'll do paste style. Now I think it's going to put the same font, which I don't want. But if I know it's lobster, at least I'll get all the other stuff done. I'll put lobster. And I'll go back, I'll put it in that green color, something like that, and I'll make it bigger so it really pops. You could make it gold or whatever, and you know, that could be on the bottom, beef could be on the front. I'll nudge this up a little, this beef thing. I'll use my arrow key and get it close to the top, not too close, not any closer than 1/8 of an inch, and I'll do that. So that's kind of what we're doing for our workflow for the front of the postcard, something like that. Now we're doing with my logo right now, but you're going to eventually be doing it with yours. But you could practice with this. We did it with my logo in class, and I'll do that. And that's not a bad looking postcard. It'll make you hungry. And even on the back, I'll copy this, and I'll go to the back, and I'll paste my logo. And I can even leave it with the shadow on. It doesn't look that bad. And leave it like that. And this will be kind of the return address area up here. Actually, not. I think the shadow is a little too harsh here. So I'll turn down the blur. Actually, I don't think I need a blur. I don't think I need any of that. I don't think I need any blur. So I'll just delete the drop shadow and leave it like that. Now there's still an outline on there, but we can't really see it. So I guess it's okay to leave it there for now. And then what we're going to do is put a return address, and we're going to make a little coupon on there now. Now, we didn't do that in class yet, so I'll just stop here. So if you have a chance to do this before class, do this. Now, I've been doing all this work and I didn't save, so I'm going to go over here and I'll save it. And if you do this at home, you can basically share your link when you're done. Now, as this is saving, let me go back here, and it's still open, and I'm going to go into here. And I'm going to turn it in. Now, I already turned it in class, but I'll add another one. And I'll go back here. It should be saved by now. And remember, you're going to go to Gravit, and you're going to go to Share. Make sure it's saved. And then make sure this is under Developer. And then you're going to copy the URL. And then you're going to go to here, add a comment. Now, this will be the second one because I did another one in class. Hit the link button. Paste the link. Choose New Window. And then hit save, and then I'll have another link there, and then I'll be able to look at it. Now you should still have your PSD file which you downloaded, and also your Jpeg file which you downloaded. So I can close this up. I don't need this anymore, but I do have my PSD on my local computer. And by the way, if you ever have no way of saving it to your local computer, in Photopea you can link your files up with Google Drive. You can also do this. You can also go File, Publish Online, and what it'll do, if you go to PSD, it'll create kind of a limited time URL that you can go back to as long as you copy it and paste it somewhere. Because if you go here, it'll generate one, and it'll take a few minutes to do that. And it's saying publishing, so it'll actually save it online. You don't want to do that a lot, but if you're ever in a jam that you don't have a place where you could download it to your computer, although you should be able to download it to your computer. It'll generate this, and you can copy this and use it again. I think they keep it for 6 months or something. So it's online. As long as you just copy this and save it, then you can go back, open it up, and that way you have it, you know, if you don't have a place to download it. But otherwise, I'll close that up. Otherwise, you can just go here, and when you do File, Save as PSD, it'll download it to anywhere you want on your computer. And that's all you need to do for this exercise, for exercise 16. So I'm going to close out of this. This is all saved. I don't have an asterisk there. I shared it in coursework, so I'm good. So that's what we did for exercise 17. I don't know if I got to everything that we did with Photoshop, but that's pretty much it. And that's what you're going to be doing with your logo. And again, not the same image, not the same barn, not the same headline, not the same logo, but that's the workflow that you're going to do when you have your logo done. You come up with your cool headline that doesn't just say beef tonight. And you find a burger, you find a barn, you find anything you want, people having fun, eating burgers, whatever you want to do. It's up to you, but it'd be nice if you could composite something, meaning put one image on top of another, and then we bring our logo in here and our text. We do that in Gravit, and this is kind of our finished product in Gravit. And in our workflow, we used Photopea or Photoshop to do our image adjustments. So that's exercise 17. So if you didn't get a chance to do that in class, you could do that at home.